at a proposed marijuana cultivation facility, which is anticipated to be located at 642 and 0 Patriots Road, Templeton, Massachusetts. The proposer that we will be here just for one proposer, but this is we had two other proposers come in not too long ago for our other outreach meetings, but this one's particularly for Cantabonics LLC. This is a virtual community outreach meeting for a proposed establishment, and it's being conducted via live streamed through TCTV's YouTube channel. The meeting will be moderated by me, Adam Lamontagne, the town administrator here in Templeton, Massachusetts. I have all this, and everything was sent out. Notices were sent to abutters. Is that correct, Kaylee?
Yes.
Notices were sent out. There was a posting in the paper. We have the notice up on our town webpage, and we have also sent it out onto our Facebook page to try to get as much feedback and transparency possible to provide for input in this. And I will be moderating this, and I will be monitoring the TCTV's YouTube page. So with that, I will turn this over to Kaylee, and who will be doing the screen sharing and presenting on behalf of Cantabonics LLC. Kaylee Hepburn.
Great.
Thanks, Kaylee.
Thank you, well, I'm having a little issue with the screen share. Hold on 1 minute. It's not, doesn't seem to be wanting to come up.
I think it's right at the bottom. It should say screen share.
Yeah, it does. It just, oh, there's my PowerPoint. Okay.
And of course, before I open this up totally, this has been scheduled for 5 p.m. December 2nd, 2020.
Yes, and there should be a chat feature. So if anyone wants to put any questions in the chat feature or raise hand feature, and we'll also have a section for questions and answers at the end. So thank you, Adam, for the introduction. This is a community outreach meeting for Cantabonics LLC. And I'd like to start off by having Bob Cahill and Doug Caffrey give a little introduction about who they are. Bob and Doug, if you can unmute and give a little intro about yourself.
Okay, want me to go first, Doug? Well, this is Bob Cahill. You're hearing me okay, right?
Yes.
All right. I've lived in Massachusetts for over 40 years. I'm living now in Uxbridge. I've owned my own business for over 30 years. I am a painting contractor. I've had run crews from between 3 painters up to over 50. We do mostly municipal type work, state work, federal housing projects, that sort of thing. We're OSHA certified. We're certified as lead renovators, and we do. Fluctuate quite a bit depending on the economy and the time of year, that sort of thing. I'm married. Been married since I moved up here. I have 3 kids, all who live still and work in Massachusetts. My youngest is a state trooper for Mass. My oldest is a computer engineer, and my who's a boy, and my middle child there is a girl, and she's works for PPG Paints. We have been interested in getting a greenhouse up and running. We think that there's a definite need for it, and both of us, Doug and I, have run different businesses for a lot of years. We think that we could put together a team that could step in and get this thing going. And we look forward to working with the town of Templeton to get this done. Thank you. Doug, you there?
Thanks, Bob. I don't see Doug on here. I don't know if something happened to maybe he got kicked out somehow. So maybe we'll just come back to him in a little while.
Okay.
All right. Oh, it looks like he just came back. He's connecting. 1 second. Hi, Doug. You there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We were just, Bob just finished giving his intro. So if you could introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself, that would be great.
Okay, great. Sorry it took me a little while to get on. But anyhow, my name's Doug Caffrey. I live at 14 West Fountain Street, Milford, Massachusetts. Excuse me. I am 64 years old, married with 4 children. My wife's a registered nurse at St. Vincent's Hospital. I am a roofing contractor. I've been in business since 1983, a long time. Ready to almost get out of that business and start a new venture. 2 of my sons work for me. My other son is a nurse practitioner, and I have a son that's a firefighter also, and my daughter, which also works for me as a secretary.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now I'd like to introduce Rob Wolfe. He is the owner of New England Agriculture Technologies, who is putting the construction project together. Rob, can you give us a little background on the team that you've put together for construction?
Sure. And I apologize for the lack of video. I lost both my picture and the video, and I've tried everything. So just bear with me. I apologize, but I trust everybody can hear me okay.
Yes.
So we are a team of a combination of finance people and lawyers and real estate experts who have really scoured throughout Massachusetts and found property that's appropriate for this industry. And we recognize that when we were embarking on this, the challenges were to not only find the land, but also develop the technical expertise, the financing, and the compliance and the law behind it. It's all changed. And so Kaylee and I are attorneys. We have another team of a group of attorneys and other marketing people behind us and finance people. And we're basically developing these projects to allow people like Doug and Bob to be able to get into these facilities without dealing with the real difficulty of the challenges with the compliance and legal aspects, but also raising the capital, doing the technical, building the buildings. We're basically doing all the legwork to get to the stage where they have a complete building and facility to work with. So it's a complicated process, but we put together a pretty admirable team of professionals that provide some real strong expertise. The most credible, well, not most credible because that would be unfair, but one of the key people are Bowler Engineering, who have done all our site work and do our initial preparation. Next up was a company called Arch Solar. They are an outfit out of Portland, Maine, who have developed this proprietary system with greenhouses that are a composite material. They're not made out of metal, or most of them isn't. And they're made out of a composite material, mostly fiberglass, that are arch-shaped, and they are the support structure for the greenhouses. And we've assembled all the mechanical and electrical and plumbing along with that to develop these buildings. Our other partners are TJA Energy and Lighthouse Masonry down in New Bedford. They're a large construction firm, basically institutional projects like libraries and buildings for government and bridges. And they're our construction partners, so they have the expertise in terms of the land management and construction. And then you'll hear an introduction from Sapphire Security. Security is a big component of our planning, and you'll hear details about that. And Sapphire is a strong team member of that. So we have a long, and the architectural team is out of North Carolina and Colorado, one of the leading developers of greenhouses, both in the cannabis space, but also in the large agricultural space out of West, where greenhouses are huge institutional projects. And so we brought those in as well. So we have a really strong team of professionals that are giving us guidance and the direction we need to develop these properties into really quality operations. Back to you, Kaylee.
Great, thank you. So the location for this greenhouse is at 0 and 642 Patriots Road And I put the lot numbers on here so that it'd be easier for anyone to find on GIS mapping. The location's under contract by Any Ag Tech. It's going to be leased from Any Ag Tech to Cantabonics for their grow. So here's a map from GIS. The front property is where there's a building located there. And then this large parcel in the back is where the Cantabonics greenhouse is going to be constructed. And there's another aerial view where you can see the features as they were fairly recently. All right. So Cantabonics is applying for a Tier 2 cannabis cultivation license from the CCC, which is the state licensing board, the Cannabis Control Commission. They're not applying for a retail license. There'll be no direct consumer sales and no on-site consumption. They chose to grow in a greenhouse to maximize both the control of an indoor environment plus the benefits of growing with natural light. So the greenhouse facility uses energy efficiency as much as possible in terms of water, heating, and electric. We can not only save money on using the sun for light, but also we'll have behind the grid solar for some more energy savings. And Rob, if you can do a little bit of a description on the greenhouses, that would be great.
Sure, thank you. On my version of Zoom, I'm not seeing any updated slides, so I'm going to refer to my printed slide presentation. And if I'm out of sync, just stop me. But I'm going to refer to, I presume, the slides on the greenhouses that are titled Exterior Finish Details. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes, this is really remarkable industry. These are buildings that are really, they're basically, they are a piece of equipment is the best way to describe them. They're uniquely designed. They have very strong attributes in terms of wind load and weight load, et cetera. And as Kaylee described, the reason why we have selected to go with the greenhouse design versus other technologies and other processes is because we can save electricity by using the sunlight as a primary agricultural growing source. You'll read and may hear about a lot of agricultural activities, and particularly cannabis, that use what are called indoor grow facilities, but they're all artificially lit, huge amount of electrical consumption, and not certainly a sustainable type of approach for agriculture. We're taking a different spin. We're using this as a real energy-saving, cost-efficient operational cost, but using light and using greenhouses as the primary source for growing. And that's the proper way, in our view, of doing a sustainable project. The pictures these are projects up in Maine, so you get some sense that they're used to our New England environment and they're really stable. There is a greenhouse layout, and we're using this as a descriptive for tonight. The actual greenhouse that's going to be constructed there in Templeton is slightly larger. This is a 15,000 square foot greenhouse. Again, the same construction with the arch solar, et cetera. Ours are going to be basically two of these buildings next to one another because it'll be a total of 25,000 square feet, not 15,000. 15 is relatively small, but we're using this as a graphic to illustrate the degree of complexity in the buildings and how they're laid out. And you'll see that along a side perimeter, what we call a corridor here, is where there is a series of HVAC pieces of equipment for cooling and air conditioning. These are primarily sealed buildings. Most of the area is sealed, some of it's not, but we use the seal technique to try to mitigate any odors or any any refuse that's leaving the building. It's all sealed and it's contained. So our goal is that you won't know the building is there. And that's part of the technique of this construction. Back to you, Kaylee.
Thank you. We're going to go through a little about the local licensing, the zoning, and the permitting for our site in Templeton. The greenhouse is located on a 14-acre parcel of land. It's zoned Commercial Industrial A, which allows for cannabis cultivation. We'll work with the town to do site plan review and to obtain a special permit from the planning board. And we have checked, and our facility is not within 500 feet of a school, childcare facility, library, playground, park, or church. And all abutters within 300 feet have been notified of the proposed development and of this meeting. And I think we have Leo here who is going to explain our security system. Leo is from Sapphire Risk Advisory Group, so he can tell us a little bit about their company and how the security is going to work. Leo, are you here? Oh, there he is. Leo?
I don't think
Bill's
he,
audio appears not to be working.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let's wave to him and he should probably, he'll see you.
he
Kaylee.
can hear you.
Yeah, no, here you go. Is that working?
Yes, that works.
Okay. So Sapphire's been around since 2013. Our specialty is in robbery prevention. So in addition to the cannabis industry, we do pawn shops, jewelry stores, general retail. We're working with Grow Space on a lot of projects. We also have a great relationship with the architect firm, TWR. We've worked in 24 different states, written over 300 plans, done 60 plus build outs. Within Massachusetts, I think we're actually close to wrapping up a vertical facility in West Wareham. And one thing that separates us from other security companies is we emphasize proactive security. So yes, we'll have responsive methods, but we really want to prevent crime instead of trying to catch shoplifters. Some of the highlights of the security systems we'll implement as part of the program include identification requirements. So only employees are going to be allowed in here. There'll be a very strict visitor policy. We'll implement access control like key cards and stuff like that. And we'll have a Knox box for the fire and police departments. Video surveillance, 24-hour recordings, still photo capabilities, remote live viewing on our full power supply. The police and any city officials will have remote access to live video, in case there's an emergency or something. And then nowadays it's pretty simple to have video verification. That way, if the police are on their way, they can look in and see what's actually happening on the ground. We'll have key cards and commercial grade locks. One advantage of electronic access control is we can log entry and audit who was in what room. The alarm system will be, your standard commercial during business hours. That we'll have panic buttons and we'll have, on-site guard response. Then after hours, you'll have your typical motion detectors, glass breaks, things like that. One thing we like to emphasize is using safes and vault rooms for storage, finished products pending transport, and that's going to be also connected to the alarm and access control systems. The civil unrest this past year, we've learned a lot about emergency procedures and training. And then finally, we get a lot of questions about waste storage. One thing is that, before it ever exits the facility, it's going to be destroyed and unusable before it's thrown away. And then the next slide shows kind of our design strategy, so to speak. Again, we try to be proactive. So, everybody enters through the same door in the front. There's a video monitor right when you walk in to kind of remind you that, this is a commercial facility with legitimate security. The state has pretty thorough security regulations. So we'll have blanket camera coverage, very thorough access regulation, and we'll have a robust alarm system. And then, you also want to emphasize communication. So you have things like hold up alarms and intercoms and radios and things like that.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thanks.
And that ties right into our plan to prevent diversion to minors. So a top priority of Cantabonics and all the licensees in the state is to prevent any product from getting into the hands of anyone under 21. So we are dedicated to making sure that it's accessible to only adults over age 21 and certified medical patients. In addition to that comprehensive security plan that Leo described for you, we have policies in place that include strict adherence to identification and visitor badge requirements so that we know if there's any underage or unauthorized people on the premises. The security system and compliance with the state mandated metric seed to field tracking program that ensures that our inventory procedures are followed. So as long as the inventory procedures are followed, we can quickly detect whether or not the product is, we have the product weight that we should have. so we can quickly detect any instances of diversion, theft, or discrepancy. Anything that's out of place will be immediately reported to the CCC, and the responsible agent will be terminated. And another part of that plan is to make sure that all marketing is geared to people who are only 21 and over. We're going to talk a little bit about common nuisances that people seem to fear when a cannabis facility is coming into their town. So we're looking to have a net positive effect on Templeton, and we've put together a lot of mitigation efforts to fight against commonly perceived nuisances. So for traffic, we don't anticipate any significantly increased traffic. There's not going to be any retail at the premises, so there's no common public access. It's just going to be the employees and infrequent deliveries. Our project complies with current local zoning as it's written, so we don't need any special variances. And we've talked a little bit about the utility usage. So we're using town water and town power, but we do have a major objective to keep our energy use efficient. So that's with our behind the grid solar, the reverse osmosis water recapture to reduce water usage, and different forms of energy efficient heating. One major common perception is that there's going to be a huge odor issue in the town. Arch Solar has put together an odor mitigation technology. It uses a process called advanced oxidation process to break down and eliminate the odor in a chemical and organic process, so that water vapor is the only residual from that process. We'll comply with all of the CCC and town regulations regarding noise pollution. And our buildings are designed to be visually pleasing. So the landscaping around the premises, we work to keep all of the border landscaping intact so that, there's not a huge change to the facility when you're driving by, or to the parcel when you're driving by. And the signage is just common directional signs. We don't need to advertise that there's a facility there because, again, there's no retail. So we're only looking to have deliveries and common directional signs for those deliveries. And our indoor and outdoor lighting is in accordance with the security plan. So we need some light for the outdoor security cameras, but it's also within the limitations of the Templeton zoning bylaws. And we do have supplemental lighting that will run at night, but we use full light deprivation blackout curtains so that there's no light seepage into the night sky. This is a little bit of a depiction of the odor mitigation system that Arch Solar uses. So it's showing you how they do the fresh air exchange with the HVAC units. And they use a core odor technology to destroy the odor-causing bacteria. That also destroys other pathogens such as mold and any kind of particles that we wouldn't want getting into the facility to begin with. All right. Part of our licensing program is that we have to develop a positive impact plan for our CCC application. So the purpose of these plans is to positively impact people who have been disproportionately harmed by cannabis prohibition and enforcement. And the commission has identified 5 different groups that you're supposed to target. The first would be residents of areas of disproportionate impact. Then there's certified economic empowerment priority recipients, social equity program participants, mass residents with past drug convictions, and mass residents with a spouse or a parent who has a past drug conviction. So we've put together a 2-part plan with the goals of reducing barriers to entry in the adult cannabis industry, providing professional and technical services, and promoting sustainable, socially and economically reparative practices in the industry in the state. So the first part is that Cantabonics will fund an annual record sealing workshop in Templeton. It'll teach which records can be sealed, how to seal them, and help individuals through the process with the courts, with the probation department. And the second part is we'll seek to hire qualified individuals with past cannabis convictions who are otherwise eligible to become a marijuana establishment agent. Another part of our licensing with the town is negotiating a host community agreement. So the HCA is a main contract between the cultivator and the town, and it lays out which the obligations of each party. By statute, it's valid for 5 years, After that time, it can be renewed or renegotiated, or it can expire. And common elements of that plan or of that contract include up to 3% of annual gross sales paid to the town to mitigate any impacts. So the goal of that up to 3% payment is that the facility will have a net zero impact on the town. So it will pay for any type of impacts that could include increased traffic or consultant reports. But as it's not a retail, cultivation operators are seen to be low impact operators. All right, so I think we can turn it over to any questions. We did have one pre-question. I called the abutter that had sent a question to Adam, and he was wondering about traffic and he had questions about the parking area. So we set up a meeting with him to go over that. And as I talked about before, there shouldn't be much increased traffic on the site because there's no retail there. So if, Adam, do you know if there's been any questions through the chat or through the YouTube functions?
We didn't receive any, Kaylee.
Okay. So if anyone has anything to add, Bob, Doug, Rob?
No, for those who are most interested, this is the former furniture manufacturing facility that's on 2A. And these facilities that we're proposing are behind the main building. So there's a main manufacturing building, the Lemire building, and where we're putting the greenhouses is in the land that's directly behind that building. So in fact, when Kaylee mentioned that nobody can see it from the road, in fact, it would be impossible to see it from the road and even know it's there, because the existing building, which we're going to use for other purposes, but for the cannabis operation, these are going to be behind the building, so you won't even know they're there and won't even have access to the back except for the permitted personnel that are required to run the facility. So it's a very secure site. It's hidden. It's remarkably well positioned because of the way that the land actually goes down and back. So it's virtually hidden and away from everybody. So it's a safe spot it's a safe and secure location for this operation.
So if I could also add, this is the first step of this process. The town of Templeton already went through a few of these. So the folks in town are used to this community outreach meeting and people, proposers taking part in it. I do got to say, I think it's certainly a good thing to see moving forward in Templeton, and that this is, like I said, the first step. Then at some point, this would go in front of the select board, and then they would make a decision whether or not to negotiate an HCA with the folks here at Cantabonics LLC. So if you watch this, you have any questions, feel free to send them off to me. I can then send them off to Kaylee, and we could get you an answer. She was kind enough. I just did receive one correspondence, and she has followed up with their concerns. And I did indicate if you do have anything you would like to write or send over to me to do so. And apparently they were happy with the questions because I had never received anything. So with that, that's all I really have for this evening.
All right. Thank you so much, Adam. Thanks everyone for watching, and let us know if you have any questions.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you for your time there.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.
Good night.